So what if I told you Kobbie Mainoo isn't just playing a game against Arsenal this Sunday? He's on a specific mission, a mission designed to exploit the one flaw Mikel Arteta hasn't fixed. If Kobbie executes this right, the title race shifts, but only if Arsenal fail to adopt. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the exact tactical instructions and why Arsenal are about to walk straight into a midfield trap. Now, I know what the skeptics are saying. You're looking at the league table, you're looking at Arsenal's 7-point lead, and you're thinking there is no way a 20-year-old is going to walk into the Emirates and dominate Declan Rice. And you're right. This isn't about Mainoo dominating the game. It's not him outplaying Rice or winning a 1v1 against Odegaard. And it's definitely not about him being the star of a highlight reel. If you're expecting a Mainoo versus the world performance, you're going to miss the point entirely. Mainoo's job on Sunday is actually smaller than people think. And that is exactly why it's so much more dangerous. Because here is the truth. Arsenal don't lose games through talent gaps. They have too much quality for that. They lose games when their rhythm gets disturbed. Michael Carrick knows this better than anyone. He's not sending Kobbie in there to beat Arsenal. He's sending him to be the glitch in their engine. But to understand why a glitch is even necessary, you have to appreciate the machine Mikel Arteta has built. Most teams try to beat you by creating chaos. They want the game fast, end-to-end, and unpredictable. But Arsenal are different. Arsenal don't overwhelm you with chaos. They suffocate you with order. Look at their structure. It's almost mathematical. You have Declan Rice acting as the gravity of the pitch. Everything flows toward him and nothing gets past him. He anchors that midfield with such discipline that it allows Martin Odegaard to become the league's most dangerous conductor. While Rice holds the floor, Odegaard controls the tempo. He's the one deciding when to accelerate and when to pause. This is why Arsenal always look in control, even when they're not creating clear-cut chances. They keep you in a tactical cage, passing you to exhaustion until you make a mistake just to breathe. It's a system built on predictability and rhythm. And that brings us to the problem Michael Carrick had to solve, because you can't out-order Arsenal. You can't out-discipline them. To beat a machine this perfect, you don't need a hammer, you need a variable that shouldn't be there. But here's the catch. This mission collapses if Mainoo is left alone. To give Kobbie the freedom to be Carrick's glitch, someone has to hold the line. Someone has to be the shield. Enter Casemiro. This week, we found out that the Brazilian legend is entering his final 4 months at Old Trafford. This Sunday, he has to handle the weight of the entire Arsenal press. In Carrick's system, his job isn't to man-mark Odegaard, Rice, or chase shadows. Casemiro doesn't even have to win every duel. However, his primary task is anchoring the collision. Look back to last week's derby win against City. When Rodri and Foden pushed high, Casemiro didn't just sit in a deep block, he acted as a shock absorber. He stepped into the areas where the game was the messiest, disrupting the timing of the final pass just enough to let the dust settle. Against Arsenal, that is the secret. Arsenal's first surge is the most dangerous in Europe. They hit you with a wave of synchronized movement that forces your defenders to panic. But Casemiro's role is to be the eye of that storm. He isn't there to stop the wave, he's there to absorb its impact so the structure doesn't break. By anchoring that initial chaos, Casemiro buys United the one thing you usually can't find at the Emirates: time. And that is where the glitch happens. Once Casemiro absorbs that first surge and the ball is turned over, Arsenal are at their most vulnerable. Their mathematical structure is momentarily out of sync. Rice is caught between his defensive duties and his supporting run. The fullbacks are still tucked inside. This is the second phase. This is the moment where the machine stalls. And this is where Kobbie Mainoo comes in. Mainoo's job isn't to win the ball. It's to decide what happens immediately after Arsenal lose it. Let me explain. While Casemiro is anchoring the collision, Kobbie Mainoo is operating surgically. If you watch Arsenal closely, you'll notice something important. Their greatest strength, the way they aggressively morph into attack, is also their biggest weakness. Arsenal aren't lethal when they're defending. They're lethal once they're set. But before that, before Rice drops, before Odegaard resets, before the lines reconnect, there's a brief moment of disorder. That's the window Mainoo is sent into, not to win duels, not to press high. Most young midfielders see Declan Rice driving forward and try to be the hero with a sliding tackle. Against Arsenal, that's a death sentence. Mainoo's job is simpler and smarter. Don't dive, just delay. Every half second he buys is a counterattack loading in the background. People look at Arsenal and see a machine. Carrick sees timing. Because Arsenal only fall into their own trap in a tiny 2-second window, the moment they're morphing from defense into attack. That's where Mainoo lives, in the transition corridor. He isn't sent there to press, he isn't sent there to dominate. He's sent there to be the safety catch, the man who waits for the machine to stall and then restarts the game on United's terms. And here's the climax of the mission. Once United win the ball in that corridor, there's no reset. Carrick's philosophy is aggressive verticality. One touch, one look. Mainoo isn't the man for the final pass, he's the man for the pass before the pass. The one who accelerates chaos, the one who finds the runner Arsenal's high line has already forgotten about. That's the mission. But if the midfield is the engine room, the flanks are where this game will be won or lost. First, Luke Shaw versus Bukayo Saka. This is a chess match we've seen a dozen times, but in 2026, the stakes are different. Saka is currently playing at a Ballon d'Or level, leading the league in successful 1v1s. Luke Shaw's only job is to be the wall. He doesn't need to overlap, he needs to pin Saka to the touchline. If Luke Shaw loses his discipline for even 1 second, Saka will cut inside and find Odegaard, and the Mainoo mission becomes irrelevant because the house is already on fire. Then we have the grudge match, Gabriel Jesus versus Lisandro Martinez. Whether Jesus starts or comes off the bench for Gyökeres, Jesus is the one player Martinez has called his toughest opponent. Why? Because Jesus doesn't play like a striker, he plays like a nuisance. He's going to try and drag Martinez out of the backline to create the very space Mainoo is trying to protect. This is a battle of egos. Martinez has to stay cold. He has to trust the system, not the man. And that is why the Mainoo mission is so unique. While Luke Shaw is in a 90-minute war with Saka, and Casemiro is physically anchoring the collision in the center circle, Kobbie Mainoo is doing something much harder. He's staying quiet. Michael Carrick knows that against a machine like Arsenal, you don't win by shouting. You win by being the one variable they didn't account for. On Sunday, everyone will be watching the big names. They'll be watching the goals, the tackles, and the drama. But if you want to know who is actually winning the tactical war, don't watch the ball. Watch Kobbie Mainoo. Watch the 2 seconds after Arsenal lose possession, because that is where the title race could be decided. So tell me in the comments, is Carrick right to trust a 20-year-old with the glitch role, or is this tactical trap too risky for a trip to the Emirates? I'm leaning toward a Mainoo masterclass, but I want to hear your score predictions below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit the like button so the algorithm knows you want more tactical breakdowns. I'm out. See you after the final whistle.